The people that were there that night in the red four-wheel drive have gone there obviously to pick her up, which it didn't take them too long to get there, so they can't live too far from Mannum itself. But hopefully they're just helping her, like pretty much in a sense hiding her away so she can sort herself out.
Sisters are worried she's come to some harm but are refusing to give up hope.
Jody, please come home. We miss you.
Jody Meyers' family described her as someone that loved life and lived it to the fullest. Always positive and smiling, 20-year-old Jody was a doting mother to her baby boy Elijah. Those that knew her said becoming a mom was the best thing that ever happened to her, and her son was her whole world. 2-year-old Elijah's father was 29-year-old Neil Archer. He and Jody were engaged and lived together in Mannum, South Australia. Just down the road from them lived Neil's mother Margaret and her husband Lawrence. August 26, 2015. Jody and Neil were invited to Jody's stepfather's birthday party. Jody spent time with her family, enjoying the barbecue and campfire. But Neil never emerged from the car and refused to engage in the celebrations or accept any of the food. He just sat in the car and waited for Jody. At around 7:30, 8 o'clock, Jody joined Neil and they both drove home together. 2 days later, Lucy, Jody's mother, got a text message from Jody's phone. The message said that she had left Neil and gone to stay with some friends while she sorted everything out. But she hadn't taken Elijah with her, and Lucy knew Jody would never have left her baby boy behind. Lucy replied to the message, but got no response back. She showed the message to her eldest daughter, and her reaction was the same as Lucy's. This wasn't Jody texting. They went straight to the police with their concerns. Detectives and the team at the Major Crime Squad agreed and felt it was highly unlikely that Jody would have just upped and left, especially without her son. As word spread about Jody's strange disappearance, her fiancé Neil and his mother Margaret started making pleas for her to come home.
Does have any information if they can, or beg them please to come forward. I'm very worried because she hasn't contacted anyone as far as I know of. Me and her son really do want her to contact somebody or come home. Well, if she is listening, I just want her to know that we all do love her and miss her dearly.
Neil and his mother Margaret told the police that they had seen Jody leave in a red car with a mystery couple. They said they didn't know the couple, but they hoped that they were looking after Jody while she took some space and time for herself.
The people that were there that night in the red four-wheel drive have gone there obviously to pick her up, which it didn't take them too long to get there, so they can't live too far from Mannum itself. But hopefully they're just helping her, like pretty much in a sense hiding her away so she can sort herself out in a sense.
News outlets circulated images of the car, hoping for it to jog someone's memory.
Yeah, well, you may remember Neil Archer's claim that he last saw Jody Meyers leaving their home in a red Nissan X-Trail. Well, today police released an image of a similar looking vehicle, which 9 News understands has been provided to them by Mr Archer himself. It's believed he claims it's a very close likeness to the car that he saw, minus the black strip that can be seen there on the side. So police are calling for anyone who might have information about that red Nissan X-Trail to contact them.
Good evening. Major crime detectives have joined the investigation into the disappearance of young mother Jody Meyers, who vanished from her Mannum home 13 days ago. Late today, they interviewed her partner, who's told 9 News he hasn't seen her since the couple fought and she left with 2 strangers.
4 o'clock this afternoon, Neil Archer returns to Mannum Police Station to give a second statement about the disappearance of his girlfriend. This time he was met by major crime detectives who were deployed from Adelaide this morning to retrace Jody Meyers' last known movements.
Several weeks would pass with still no sighting of or word from Jody. Searches were being conducted throughout the town and alongside the bank of the River Murray, but no clues turned up anywhere. A small glimmer of hope came when they looked into Jody's bank records and found that $250 had been withdrawn from her account at a nearby ATM machine. This $250 was the last of her savings, and just hours later, her phone suddenly had credit in it before the message was sent to her mum Lucy. Police set about obtaining any and all the footage they could from that street to see if they could spot Jody. While the police were working on this, Neil and Margaret were fast becoming a regular feature on the local news, and reporters were firing some tough questions at Neil.
So you're not a murderer, you're not a killer?
No, I'm not. I've never harmed anyone in that way, so I would never harm anyone in that way.
It's getting really bad. We miss her. We want her to come home, or at least contact someone that's out there knows anything, to contact the police or Crime Stoppers. Her son needs her. He needs his mum. Sorry. She was like a daughter to me. We spoke about anything and everything.
The more the pair spoke to the media and inserted themselves into the investigation, the more people started to question them. Jody's family had concerns about Neil from the get-go. They said he didn't fit in with the rest of the family and made no effort to do so. He never came across as someone that was a reliable and stable presence in Jody's life. Jody's brother-in-law Michael said that he was always a little off-centre from everything. Jody's mother was also hesitant about the relationship from the beginning. She said she felt Jody made out to family and friends that she was happier than she actually was. At one point, Jody had said she could finally start to see what Neil was trying to do, which was take her away from her family. Neil's behaviour became more controlling and manipulative. He always had to have access to her Facebook account and stopped her from going to see people without him. Neil had to know where Jody was and who she was with, all the time. Another source of tension was Margaret Archer. Margaret was the mother of 4 boys. She raised her sons in Adelaide before moving to a housing estate in the small town of Mannum, South Australia. Neil lived with her until his mid-20s. That was until he met Jody. Margaret adored Neil and her grandson Elijah, but she showed very little care for Jody. It's said that Margaret would often take Elijah inside and lock Jody out of the house, keeping him from her. The relationship between Neil and Jody became more and more toxic, and by early 2015, Jody confided in her family that she wanted to leave him. Neil caught wind of this and blamed Jody's family for getting involved in the relationship. Jody's brother-in-law Michael told Neil if Jody wanted to leave, he had 2 choices: fight for her and try and work through it, or just walk away and let her live her life. Neil turned to him, emotionless, and said, "I will kill her." By mid-September, Neil Archer was officially named as a person of interest. Police now had reason to believe that Jody had been met with foul play and was likely deceased.
The family of missing Mannum woman Jody Meyers say they've been left devastated by the revelation police believe the young mother has been murdered. But they say they're determined to cling to hope until her fate is known for certain.
A family's most heart-wrenching fears confirmed.
Devastating. It's not something you want to hear. It's pretty emotional.
Detectives revealing they believe missing Mannum mother Jody Meyers has been murdered, yesterday declaring her disappearance a major crime.
It's very hard to hear, especially from police, although we've got our suspicions, but to hear it from police is very, very devastating and upsetting.
Quite shocking. I didn't think they'd do that so soon. Hopefully they'd keep looking for her as alive.
Once the CCTV near the ATM machine had been processed, police could finally see exactly who it was withdrawing the money.
9 News understands that CCTV obtained from the Bank SA branch here in the main street at Mannum the day after she vanished shows someone other than Jody Meyers using her bank card to access cash.
Margaret Archer was seen withdrawing the $250. She was wearing a grey hoodie and dark trousers, while Neil, wearing a baseball cap, leant against the wall waiting for her and keeping an eye out down the street. Footage then picked up Neil and Margaret in Neil's green Ford, driving and then parking outside a news agency. Margaret entered the news agency and bought a $10 credit voucher for a phone. After she left the shop, she headed back to the car where she and Neil waited for 6 minutes. During this time, the text that raised the red flag was sent from Jody's phone to her mother. After the message was sent, the pair drove back. Just the day after Jody was last seen, CCTV footage showed Margaret at Bunnings' warehouse buying over 600 kilograms of cement, paid for with the cash she had taken from Jody's bank account. Lawrence, Margaret's husband, had been away in Tasmania when Jody disappeared, and when he returned, he was surprised to see that the shed floor had been newly concreted. Neil said they had done it as a Father's Day gift for him. Lawrence knew this was out of character and said that Neil just wasn't the kind of guy to do something like that for somebody else. Lawrence innocently revealed all of this to the police.
Good evening. Major crime detectives have made an arrest over the disappearance of Mannum mother Jody Meyers, who they fear has met with foul play. But the suspect has been charged with theft, not murder.
These are exclusive pictures of inside the Murray Bridge Police Station where Margaret Archer was arrested this afternoon. She emerged just before 3 o'clock with 2 detectives and her partner Laurie. What have you been charged with, Margaret?
Nothing. Innocent.
No comment.
Have they accused you of using Jody's ATM card? Did you use the ATM card?
No, I didn't.
Police think she did. They've charged the 55-year-old with using Jody Meyers' ATM card one day after the 20-year-old vanished. Mrs Archer is the mother of Jody's boyfriend Neil Archer, who has been named as the only person of interest in her suspected murder. You seem very upset.
Yeah, well, I don't like being charged with something I haven't done.
With all of this evidence mounting up and the police slowly closing in, it wasn't long before Neil cracked under pressure. One day, with Margaret out the house, Neil decided it was time to confide in his brother Aaron. In the laundry room of the house, Neil bluntly said, "I killed her," and then quickly went to leave, but his brother stopped him in his tracks and demanded to know why he had done it. Neil said he knew Jody was about to leave him and take Elijah too. Again, after admitting this, he hastily tried to walk away, but Aaron still had no intention of letting him leave. How, he asked him. Neil told him he had strangled Jody in their home before taking her body to his mother's house and burying her under the tool shed. Aaron said, "His eyes were black, like nothing there. It was scary. It scared the shit out of me." Aaron insisted Neil turn himself in, but when he didn't, Aaron decided to do it for him. Before long, police were at Margaret Archer's property, and Neil Archer was charged with murder.
Good evening. A tragic end to the search for missing Mannum woman Jody Meyers, whose body has been found buried under a backyard shed. Her partner has been charged with her murder, the grim find made at his parents' home.
Jody Meyers' body was discovered in a shallow grave under the concrete slab Neil had laid. This was just metres from where the pair had been courting the media and begging for Jody's safe return. It was later confirmed that Jody had been strangled with the cord from one of Neil's hoodies. Margaret Archer was later charged with helping Neil cover up the crime.
Guilty plea for murder has sparked emotional scenes in an Adelaide courtroom as Neil Archer admitted to killing his former partner, Jody Meyers. The victim's family labelling the 31-year-old gutless and calling for a life sentence to be imposed.
Neil Archer eventually pled guilty to the murder of 20-year-old Jody Meyers, sparing her family the agony of sitting through a painful trial. Under state law, he faced a non-parole period of at least 20 years, but he believed he deserved a special parole term because he had pled guilty in the first place. This came after a separate murder case upheld a non-parole period of 15 years for special reasons. Neil was hoping for the same ruling, and the court heard he was actually eligible for a 30% discount. Despite this, he was sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 20 years for the murder of Jody Meyers. Justice Trish Kelly said applying the full discount would have been disproportionate to the seriousness of the offence and would be so inappropriate that it would shock the public conscience. The following year, Margaret Archer also pled guilty in the district court to one count of assisting an offender. She was sentenced to 6.5 years with a minimum non-parole period of 4 years. However, her sentence was backdated to when she was taken into custody back in December 2015, which means she was eligible for parole in 2019. Despite the police and Jody's family's beliefs, Margaret still maintains she had nothing to do with the murder itself. Jody's son Elijah now lives with his grandmother Lucy. Elijah keeps a photo of Jody with him all the time so he can carry on sharing things with her. Lucy said that one Christmas Elijah got a bicycle. He took the photo of his mother out to show her his gift, and then sat the photo on the table so she could watch him ride his new bike.